Welcome back. This is the last unit of the first semester, and you're looking at the city of Constantinople. This unit's called the Byzantine Empire, and the original name of the city of Constantinople was Byzantium. And then in modern times today, it is called Istanbul. The Roman Emperor Constantine felt like the Roman Empire was way too big, so he divided the empire in two. In the west, you have Rome as the capital, and in the east, you have the new capital of Constantinople, which is named after Constantine himself. So geography is pretty important for this unit. As you can see, the crazy duck's right there in the middle of the map you're looking at, and you can see the Black Sea or the Nike tennis shoe right up to the right or to the east. You can see the Roman Colosseum identifying the Italian peninsula, and you can see the pyramid showing Egypt down to the south, and you can see a Greek column identifying where ancient Greece is. So, the main thing you're looking at here is Constantinople is far from the Germanic invasions in the west. If you remember, when we talked about Rome and the fall of the Western Roman Empire, there are Germanic invasions that are attacking the Italian peninsula, what was called Gaul but is currently France, and Constantinople is not really close to it, so they're very safe and protected. And as you saw in the little preview video I was showing in the beginning, it's almost like a fortress. The city is surrounded by water on three sides, and then they've built these gigantic walls called the Theodosian walls that are multi-layered to protect the city, which we'll talk about that later as well. So because of geography, Constantinople is very difficult to defeat. So this map, again, that you're looking at is showing you where it's located. You can see the red arrow and the red star pointing to the location of Constantinople. I always like to say it's on the heel of the Nike tennis shoe or the Black Sea. There's another term you need to know. It says Eastern Frontier. A frontier is kind of like a wild and crazy place where there's no law. So there's no one protecting that area to the east. So once again, Constantinople is far away from everywhere that there's problems. And that's why they last for a very long time after the Western Roman Empire falls. So this map is the same, but I've relabeled it. And at the bottom it says Constantinople is an easily fortified peninsula bordered by natural harbors. So if you look at Constantinople once again, as I showed you in the first video, three sides are water, and literally it's a peninsula, and that's protection. It's also a crossroads of trade. What that means is people are naturally traveling through Constantinople by water or by land. Looking at the map, you can see the red arrows showing that people coming from the Black Sea trying to get to the Mediterranean Sea are going to cross by Constantinople. By land, people from Europe and Asia crossing over into Eastern Asia are going to go by Constantinople. So what's the significance of a crossroads of trade? It's literally where people get together to buy and sell goods, but also ideas. So information and goods for economics are traded in anywhere that's a crossroads of trade. Most cities, even today, have areas that are crossroads of trade, but the difference is we travel mostly by car rather than by boat. So for example, I live in Hampton, Virginia. Our crossroads of trade has changed. Today, the crossroads of trade is built around Mercury Boulevard and Interstate 64. However, originally the crossroads of trade was in downtown Hampton, which is on the waterfront, which was a harbor. The insert map to the left is from the Battle of Constantinople, and it's showing how the Ottoman Turks eventually defeated the Byzantines. The Ottoman Turks had some new technology, gunpowder and some giant cannons, which I'll show you later. But again, this is showing how powerful the city was with its defenses to be able to put off any type of invasion until new technology arises. So as for some notes, first off, what is the role of Constantinople? Why is it important? First, it's the seat of the Byzantine Empire until the Ottoman Empire. So what does seat mean? It just means that's where the leader is. So in the case of the Byzantine Empire, it's the emperor. For example, in the United States today, where is the seat of power? That would be Washington, D.C. That's where our politicians operate and run the government. Another important piece here is that classical Greco-Roman culture was preserved. What does that mean? It means that during the time that the Western Roman Empire was being conquered by Germanic tribes, Byzantium, or Constantinople, is safe. So all of these Greco-Roman achievements and classical things that inspire us today, they were saved, and we are able to learn about them because of that, because they were protected, because they were not destroyed by the Germanic tribes. And last and simply, because Constantinople is a crossroads of trade, it becomes a center of trade. It's a place where people go where they can buy and sell goods. For example, today, if you want to buy something, you go online because it's easy. Everyone can find anything they need online. But not sure if you knew that, but they didn't have the internet back then. Shocker, right? Well, anyway, today we go online, but back then, obviously they didn't have it, so they had to go to places where people were there that they could have the best luck at finding what they wanted. And it was much more difficult in ancient times than it is today. So if you were selling food, say if you were a farmer and you wanted to trade that food for iron or tools or something like that, you need to travel to somewhere like Constantinople where you would have a better chance of finding other people selling what you wanted or willing to trade. So next up, we have one guy that we need to know, and his name's Justinian. And you can see his name kind of goes along with justice, so that's easy to remember. So what did he do? First off, he codified Roman law that impacted the European legal code later. What does codified mean? He organized it. He literally put the laws in an order that makes sense. Remember how the Romans used the 12 tables to organize the laws? Well, Justinian goes a step further. Justinian also expands trade. He makes it easy for people to trade goods and services. But just on a side note, you will not need to know this for any type of test, but I thought it's something that'll help you just remember about this. Justinian isn't the great guy that the notes make him seem. He also decided to heavily tax anyone entering the city. Now, the good part of that is it raised a lot of money and it led to him reconquering former Roman territories. But it also led to revolts against him. So there were problems where at one point he almost left the city in fear. What's really surprising to me is that the curriculum doesn't mention his wife, Theodora, who is a very strong female role model for other women during this time period. So you young ladies studying World History 1 probably have picked up by now that women don't really get treated equally in terms of history. And that's normal. So again, if you're interested, look up Justinian's wife, Theodora, and read about her story. It's pretty fascinating. So when we talk about the reconquest of former Roman territories, remember, the Roman Empire in the West has been defeated by Germanic tribes. Justinian used all this money that he gained by taxation, and he went and reconquered some of those territories to try to get the Roman Empire back to what it was. Unfortunately, after his death, the next emperors didn't continue with that, and it fell again. So next up, we have Byzantine achievements in art and architecture. So they're inspired by Christian religion and imperial power. When you see that word imperial, it's talking about the empire, the Byzantine Empire, or actually the Eastern Roman Empire. But regardless, the power and Christianity is what inspires the people. You have also what's called religious icons. So the image shows you, these could be things carved of wood, and basically what it was, when someone was praying, they might hold on to it, they might use it to focus. They're not praying to the icon. They're just using it as a tool to assist them. We also have mosaics in public and religious structures. Now, mosaics are pretty cool. These are small pieces of glass or tile, and if you look up close, the images don't look very good. But when you back up, it looks amazing. So you probably have done mosaic style artwork, maybe even in kindergarten, where you took little pieces of construction paper and you glued it to, for example, a coloring book page, and you used the small pieces to color in instead of using a crayon. That's an example of a mosaic. Later, we're going to learn that the Muslims or the Islamic civilizations also use mosaics. And last and more importantly, the Hagia Sophia. This is a Byzantine domed church, and I kind of showed you that in the video clip earlier at the very beginning of the video. Now, this is important because it always pops up in terms of CSA tests, benchmarks, exams, things like that. So when you're looking at the picture there on the screen, that is what it looks like today. So those towers, they're called minarets. They were added after the Ottoman Turks took over. So sometimes you might see an artistic rendition, and I will eventually show you that, of the Hagia Sophia without those minarets. And that's something to be prepared for. But the bottom line, there are two domes that students get confused. And I will eventually show you a combination of both to compare and contrast them. This dome is concrete, you can see from the top. Later, you're going to learn about the Dome of the Rock, which has a gold dome. And traditionally, those are the two images students get confused. But again, we'll work on that, and I don't think you'll have a problem.